The sales office bizarrely turned into a mental hospital. If the mental hospital materializes, then the dozens of ghosts inside will also materialize. This means that ghosts could appear at any time. Hugh is not frightened but happy. This brings him one step closer to the truth. The two continue forward and suddenly discover a pool of blood at their feet. The scene before their eyes is terrifying. All they see are the torn clothes of the three missing people scattered all over the place, with pieces of flesh and bone fragments still clinging to them. This means that the people who were taken were all eaten by the ghosts. Additionally, the man had relatively more meat, so the time spent being eaten by the ghosts was longer. Suddenly, at that moment, footsteps echoed from the depths of the quiet corridor. Dennis trembled as he looked ahead. It turned out that Prince and his group had also come out. When they saw the purgatory in front of them, their pupils suddenly constricted. Prince was also scared, feeling a chill down his spine. They didn't expect that the missing people had all been eaten. At this moment, Hugh glanced at his phone. He said lightly, "Time's up." Prince was confused. "What time's up?" Suddenly, there was a cracking sound from behind. The crowd turned around in horror, only to see a female ghost doctor hanging upside down from the ceiling. Her head turned with a cracking sound. She suddenly opened her bloody mouth and charged toward the crowd. Fear spread like a tidal wave. The crowd fled frantically. Faye was accidentally knocked to the ground. She grabbed Prince's coat corner for help. But the female ghost in front of him had already scared him silly. He shook off Faye's hand. He desperately ran away. Just like that, Faye was abandoned. She continuously screamed for help, but no one dared to approach. A flash of silvery light from a blade was seen. They perished from this world. And the female ghost doctor did not stop. She frantically dismembered Faye with a scalpel. The entire scene was gory and terrifying. Watching the scene in front of him, Dennis was completely stunned. At this moment, Hugh was calmly analyzing. He was speculating about the female ghost doctor's pattern of killing. It should be killing people nearby and only one person each time. Otherwise, he and Dennis definitely wouldn't be able to escape. The dismembered female ghost physician began to devour voraciously. After understanding the pattern of killing, Hugh walked towards the female ghost physician. He clenched his fists and punched it hard. But Hugh seemed to be punching a steel plate. Instead, his own hand got injured. The female ghost doctor ignored Hugh and continued eating elegantly. It seems that only by becoming a spirit master can one kill it. The key lies in letting the eerie power infiltrate one's spirituality. And physical contact will definitely speed up the infection. Hugh looked at the long legs in front of him. He slowly reached out his right hand and touched them. The terrified Dennis saw this scene and was utterly shocked to the core. "Hugh, I thought watching Japanese and Korean action movies every day was already perverted enough. I didn't expect you to be even more twisted, daring to take advantage of a ghost." However, what I didn't expect was that Hugh actually called Dennis over to join in touching. Although Dennis was reluctant, he hadn't touched a girl in the 2.5 years he'd been single. "Fine, I'll touch." In the instant of touching, a cool sensation swept over. Dennis took a sharp breath of cool air, but did not move his hand away. The icy touch had a soft elasticity. The more he touched it, the more he felt. He kept rubbing it forcefully. Dennis also recalled the short clip from last night in his mind. A minute later, Hugh picked up his phone and glanced at the time. "Almost there. We need to leave enough time for our escape. As long as we leave before the female ghost doctor finishes eating, he is confident that he can widen the distance." Just as the two of them reached the end of the corridor, a few strands of hair suddenly descended in front of Hugh. It was the female ghost doctor who had caught up. Hugh was startled. Could he have misjudged the killing pattern? Faye's body should be able to last another minute. But when he turned his head to look, what met his eyes were two large pieces of silicone. Hugh was stunned. Silicone? Fake? Before he could react, a flash of silver light streaked past. Hugh's head was thrown high into the air. At this moment, he had only one thought. May there be no silicone in heaven. When he woke up again, he was startled to find himself touching a thigh instead of being back with his wife. Could it be that death rewinds are event-based? Just like the levels in a game, the saved event automatically advances to the second level. In order to avoid being harmed by the silicone again, Hugh immediately pulled Dennis away. However, he still felt reluctant to leave the ghost lady doctor. Hugh reminded, "If we don't leave now, the ghost lady will eat you." Then the two of them ran downstairs frantically. They soon caught up with Prince and his group. Dennis was puzzled. "Why are you running so slowly?" But the yellow-haired man said they had descended at least 20 levels. "But Hugh and I only descended 2 levels before encountering you." At this moment, Prince said tremblingly, "Ghost hitting the wall. It must be ghost hitting the wall. Otherwise, we wouldn't be going down the stairs all the time." In order to verify if the ghost was creating a visual obstruction, Hugh suggested taking out extra items and throwing them on the ground as markers. Immediately after, everyone rushed downstairs. But right at the corner of the lower floor, there appeared the items that had just been discarded. Everyone was terrified. "It's over, it's over. Now we can't even escape. If the female ghost doctor catches up, it's all over." Hugh did not pay attention to the crowd. Instead of running aimlessly, it's better to find an escape route. He recalled the layout of the psychiatric hospital. The exit to the stairwell was on the right side. Hugh felt his way up along the wall. He groped step by step from top to bottom. Suddenly, it seemed like he had touched something. A door suddenly appeared on the wall. Indeed, there was an escape route here. But at the moment the iron door was opened, a strange atmosphere swept in. It felt as if a demon was about to devour everyone. The man has a voluptuous and graceful wife. However, he likes to touch the nurse's black stockings outside. It is not exciting enough for him to touch them alone. He even calls his good buddies to join in the touching, because it is only through close contact with ghosts. Can you rely on the power of ghosts to light up spirituality? Thus becoming the legendary spirit master with the ability to eliminate ghosts. And as long as time for escape is reserved, they wouldn't be chased by the female ghost doctor. At this moment, everyone encountered a ghost wall. No matter how many times they go down the stairs, they always end up back at the starting point. Just as everyone was praying fervently, Hugh was searching for clues alone. Instead of doing meaningless things here, it's better to look for a way out. Even if it's a situation like ghost hitting the wall, there should be a hidden path. Hugh continued to feel along the wall. Sure enough, he found a door at the corner. Behind the door was a dimly lit corridor. It seemed as if there were terrifying ghosts inside. Seeing that there was an exit, Prince was the first to rush in. Everyone else also fled inside like mad, afraid of being too slow. But Hugh was neither fast nor slow. Good brother Dennis immediately shouted, "Hugh, run quickly! The female ghost doctor behind is catching up." Hugh chuckled. There is no need to run too fast when facing the female ghost doctor. As long as he isn't the last one, it's fine. Because the female ghost doctor will kill the nearest person. Moreover, every time after killing someone, she will focus on eating. This also makes it convenient to touch her thigh and quickly light up spirituality. At this moment, the guy in the back was so scared that his diaper was soaked. "Hurry up and run. Don't block my way." While everyone else continued running, Prince suddenly stopped everyone. What appeared before their eyes were 2 forked roads. At this moment, a smart guy said to his colleague, "Why don't you try the left side?" His colleague immediately refuted. "Why don't you, the smart guy, try it yourself?" At this moment, everyone's eyes involuntarily turned towards Hugh. Just now, Ghost hit the wall, and he found a way out. They instinctively thought he knew which way led to safety. Hugh sneered. "He couldn't wait to push me away while running." When faced with difficulties, they thought of me again. Isn't this clearly treating me as a tool? However, Hugh didn't care about these people. The current female ghost doctor is an invincible existence. To buy time, you must fill it with human lives. And these people are just tools to be used as sacrifices. Hugh, without thinking, walked straight to the right. And everyone else blindly and crazily ran to the right as well. Because at that moment, a strange sound came from behind them. Hugh was not frightened but delighted. It was the female ghost doctor who had caught up. And the fattest manager was running at the back. Because of his body size, no matter how he ran, he couldn't outrun the female doctor. She quickly crawled over, making the sound of joints turning. Her eyes glowed as she stared at the manager. It was as if she was admiring her prey. Long black hair kept growing. At this moment, the manager was already scared out of his wits, and was desperately calling for help like a madman. He grabbed the collar of the yellow-haired man in front of him. He pulled back hard. Using the momentum, he ran forward. The yellow-haired man fell to the ground, angrily shouting, "Roger, you bastard!" A flash of silver light was seen. With unwillingness and anger, yellow-haired man died instantly. The bald manager, however, did not feel a trace of guilt. He even laughed and said, "I will take good care of your wife." And this scene happened to be witnessed by Hugh. People who have lost their humanity, how are they any different from a ghost? Hugh did not run anymore. Instead, he turned around and walked towards the female ghost doctor. Now is the best time to touch the thigh. Immediately, he lifted the female ghost doctor's thigh and started touching it. And this scene happened to be witnessed by his good brother Dennis. "Hugh, you're actually hogging it all for yourself. Next time there's something good like touching thighs, call me along." Hugh looked at Dennis and thought, as expected during the day, at this time, he can still take the initiative to touch. Maybe he can really light up spirituality. 2.5 minutes later, they started running again. At the end of the corridor, they caught up with the manager and others. At this point, they arrived at a restaurant. But no matter how hard everyone searched, they couldn't find the exit. Hugh calmly pondered. Did we choose the wrong direction? It seems that next time we should choose the left path. He was not at all flustered. After all, this was just a trial and error. But just at this moment, everyone angrily blamed Hugh, saying it was all his fault for choosing the wrong path. If you hadn't chosen the wrong path, we wouldn't be trapped here. Hugh's lips curled into a strange smile. It's all my fault. Humans are truly fascinating creatures. The man broke through the deathly ghost barrier to rescue his colleague. But the colleague, ungrateful, sent him to his death instead. Just because there was a female doctor ghost chasing them. And everyone fled into a dead end. There was only a utility room here. There was no other way out. At this moment, everyone was blaming Hugh. If you hadn't chosen the wrong path, would we be stuck here? If you didn't know which way was the right path, couldn't you have discussed it with everyone? Only good brother Dennis stood up. Hugh didn't force you to come along either. It was you who asked for directions in the first place. Now that you've made the wrong choice, you start blaming Hugh. Why didn't you make the choice yourself just now? The bald manager pointed and said, "We trusted him, that's why we let him choose. Who knew he would betray everyone's trust and lead us into a dead end?" The honest and simple Dennis was at a loss for words after being berated. Prince came over and pushed the two apart. "Stop arguing. The most important thing now is how to survive. According to my observations, this ghost has a 3-minute safe period after each attack. So the only way now is to choose someone to divert it." At this moment, everyone couldn't help but look at Hugh, and Hugh's lips involuntarily curled up. "So, after all this talk, you want to use my life to buy time for everyone to escape?" Prince pretended to be furious and walked towards Hugh. "If it weren't for you, we wouldn't be in this desperate situation." Prince suddenly pushed Hugh away. He decided Hugh's life and death like a judge. "So it must be you who distracts the ghost." Good brother Dennis roared. "Let go of Hugh!" He charged towards Prince. The remaining people looked at each other in dismay. They didn't know what to do about the current situation. Dennis grabbed Prince by the neck. "Stop it! If anyone is going to distract the ghost, it should be you." Prince, frightened, quickly shouted, "Roger, hurry up and come help!" The bald manager responded and ran over. He rushed behind Dennis and forcefully pulled him away. He pinned him to the ground and firmly locked him. "Prince, I've got him!" At this moment, the door to the storage room suddenly closed. Only Hugh was left alone, abandoned outside the door. He watched the scene coldly. He was unafraid in the face of death. Because he possessed the ability to roll back after death, attracting the ghost was meaningless to him. He just didn't expect to see such an interesting scene. In order to survive, he actually sent his close colleague to death. I always thought I wouldn't be interested in people anymore, but I didn't expect that sometimes people can be more interesting than ghosts. Thank you for making me a bit more interested in this world. At this moment, the female ghost doctor rushed over at high speed. A flash of silver light passed by. Hugh, with an evil smile, said, "Next time, I will repay you well." The man is a prophet with infinite rebirths. At this moment, he is being chased by a female ghost doctor. This is because he can foresee the correct escape route. However, his colleague repaid his kindness with ingratitude. They completely forgot that Hugh had just broken the ghost wall and saved their lives. They turned around and locked him outside to attract the female ghost. Faced with the female ghost doctor, he was not afraid at all. He even felt like laughing. Because he had the ability to infinitely rewind upon death. He had long become numb to life and death. But at this moment, he became interested in the baseness of human nature. Faced with the selfishness and ingratitude of his colleagues. The next time, he would surely repay them well. Because Hugh never holds grudges. He takes his revenge on the spot. The reborn Hugh once again cracked the ghost wall. He led everyone to the crossroads. Prince saw that Hugh was able to accurately find the way out. He thought that he was the rumored spirit master, so there was hope of escaping. Hugh turned to look at Prince. He remembered how Prince had looked smug after having caused his death earlier. In a flash, he kicked and shattered Prince's egg. The sound of the egg shattering was clearly audible. At this moment, Prince wanted to cry, but no sound came out. His entire body was shaking uncontrollably. He was in so much pain that he kneeled in front of Hugh. Roger, acting as a lackey, angrily questioned Hugh. "What are you doing? Why did you suddenly kick someone?" Hugh merely said calmly, "Ghost speed far surpasses that of humans, so someone is bound to die in a minute." Now that Prince has lost the ability to move, he is the one who's going to die. So I am saving you all. Everyone looked puzzled, but they couldn't tell what was wrong. Only his good brother Dennis nodded in support. In the next second, Hugh lifted his left foot and kicked again. The sound of an egg breaking echoed once again. Roger instantly let out a scream. His position, as he fell to the ground, was identical to Prince's. After a piercing scream, he fainted. Dennis beside him was so frightened that he covered his crotch. "Hugh, that's a really vicious move." The colleague angrily questioned. "Hugh, what on earth are you doing?" "Attacking Prince was to save us. But what about attacking Roger?" Hugh calmly responded as always. "Leave one as a backup. That way, everyone will have enough time to escape." Dennis looked at Hugh with admiration. Sure enough, Hugh had rigorous logic. At this moment, everyone was talking. They all felt that Hugh's actions were too harsh. It was simply shocking. Hugh just pointed to the corridor on the right and said, "The right side is a dead end. If you want to escape, go to the left." At this point, everyone no longer trusted him. "Then why don't you go to the left yourself?" Hugh said faintly. "I'm waiting to touch the thigh." Everyone looked bewildered. Touch the thigh? How could there be a thigh to touch at a life and death moment? Only Dennis walked over excitedly. Hugh, touch the thigh and take me along." I love touching thighs the most." Just at this moment, the female ghost doctor chased after them. Everyone was terrified and turned around to run, fearing being caught by the female ghost. But they were also worried that Hugh might be deceiving them. They just ran into the left corridor and hid. Meanwhile, Hugh was not far from Prince, waiting for the female ghost doctor to come over. He planned to touch the female ghost's thigh at the first opportunity. At this moment, Prince was still pleading, "You save me!" But he suddenly felt that his crotch was wet. He raised his hand and saw it was all blood. It turned out that his testicles had already been crushed into pieces. Blood flowed continuously as if he were having a period. At this moment, Prince angrily lunged at Hugh. "If I can't escape, neither can you," he said. Having lost his vital essence, Prince moved slowly. Hugh lifted a foot and stepped on his hand. He leaned down and said to Prince, "Don't worry. I won't leave. I want to see you die right in front of me." Immediately, the female ghost doctor twisted the prince's neck. Fresh blood spurted out. Hugh was splattered all over his face. He licked the blood off his face. So that's how it is. This is the taste of revenge. It feels pretty good. Hugh was extremely excited. His body trembled uncontrollably. His heart started pounding violently. He started laughing like a madman. He never imagined his heart could beat so fast. At this moment, Hugh thought of his beautiful wife at home. "Wife, wait for me. I will definitely escape from here and return to your side." The man has a voluptuous and graceful wife. He could only sneakily touch the nurse's black stockings outside. Because only by having physical contact with the ghost can you absorb the ghost's power from it to light up spirituality, thereby becoming the legendary spirit master, thus having a chance to escape the mysterious realm. At this moment, Hugh is holding the female ghost's thigh, hugging from both sides. The colleagues nearby were stunned by this scene. They never expected that when Hugh said he was going to touch a thigh, he meant touching the female ghost's thigh. Hugh turned his head to look at his good buddy Dennis. "Dennis, do you want to join in and touch it too?" Dennis looked at Hugh, who had a face covered in blood. He stammered for a long time without being able to say a word. The colleague behind him was so scared that they quickly ran away. Hugh was taken aback. It was only then that he realized what was happening. What he was accustomed to, death, was only a source of fear in the eyes of others. But after he had died 21 times, his mind was filled with thoughts of revenge and madness. His human nature was gradually fading away. But Dennis was different. He was just an ordinary worker. If he was afraid of the female ghost and didn't want to touch it, Hugh wouldn't force him either. But Dennis spoke up and said, "My family background is ordinary. I've been single for 2.5 years and haven't had a girlfriend. Now it's rare to have the opportunity to touch a thigh. I'm willing to touch thighs with you." Hugh is very pleased. Perhaps Dennis can really escape with him. Dennis slowly walked over. Unexpectedly, he accidentally kicked Prince's head. Dennis quickly apologized. I'm sorry, Prince, I accidentally kicked you." Then he lifted his leg and stepped over Prince's head. Dennis shyly reached out his hand and touched it, even kneading and rubbing the female ghost's thigh. The more he touched, the more excited he became. Hugh was speechless. Can't he just touch the thigh properly? At that moment, Hugh felt a rush of cool air wash over him. He hurriedly asked Dennis if he felt a chill. "No, Hugh, I didn't feel anything at all." Hugh felt a sudden stirring. He carefully sensed the feeling in his hand. That wasn't an illusion. There was indeed a flow of cool air. From the female ghost doctor's thigh, it transmitted into the palm. Then it surged through the entire body via the palm. Could this be the infiltration of a strange power? Cool air enters the body. Could this be a sign of awakening spirituality? Watch Hugh seriously experiencing the feeling of touching his thigh. Dennis believes the time is ripe to become a spirit master. He immediately roams up and down the female ghost's thigh looking for a feeling. No matter how he touched, no cool air entered his body. Dennis asked in confusion, Hugh, what does it feel like to light up spirituality? Why can't I feel it? Although you have been in contact with ghosts for a long time, you have not experienced the real shock of life and death. Your mindset has not been stimulated, so you cannot feel it. Dennis wanted to say something but stopped. Hugh has clearly been with me all along. When did he experience life and death? At this moment, Hugh said, "We'll keep searching for another 2.5 minutes. Leave enough time for an escape." He then closed his eyes, carefully sensing the eerie power. More and more cool air flowed into his arms. But once inside his body, the cool air disappeared, as if it had sunk into the sea. Hugh couldn't help but wonder where the eerie aura had gone. He then focused his mind and immersed his consciousness. Did it flow into his mind? Or into his heart? At that moment, Hugh sensed a grayish heart pounding vigorously. All the cool air converged here, like thousands of rivers flowing into the sea. Hugh clearly felt a strange force. It was about to burst forth. That gray exterior would also break apart. The next second, all the ghostly aura crazily converged towards spirituality. And as more and more ghostly aura flowed in, deep within the spirituality, a bead as crimson as blood condensed. At this very moment, Hugh felt a radical transformation occur within himself. In an instant, it was as if his whole being was washed by black light. His senses became exceptionally acute. Olfactory senses. Taste also became much more sensitive. Even his brain's thinking and neural responses were enhanced. Hugh opened his eyes. The whole person suddenly felt enlightened. It was as if a gray, hazy veil had been lifted. Every subtle change was clearly visible. Although his physical condition did not change, his control over his body greatly improved. However, Hugh's spirituality is only about 1% activated. As long as there is enough bizarre power fusion, a stronger spirituality power can be unleashed. The abilities of a spirit master are a manifestation of spirituality power. Every spirit master will possess different abilities. It mainly relates to their inner self. Whatever you desire the most will be manifested. Hugh couldn't help but wonder, what will my ability be? Or rather, what is it that I truly desire in my heart? Hugh's heart tightened with pain. A feeling of unbearable pain instantly swept over his entire body. Hugh suddenly realized, my ability is. So my heart is full of pain? I can make the person being attacked feel pain. Not just physical pain, but also spiritual pain. Inflict all the pain I've experienced onto my enemies. Thinking of this, Hugh couldn't help but sneer. Then he burst into uncontrollable laughter. This ability is truly wonderful. Let the ghost experience my pain firsthand. Is there anything in this world more satisfying than this? This is exactly what my heart desires the most. Isn't that right, my dearest wife? You must wait at home for me to repay you. The man is an infinitely reincarnating prophet. At this moment, he is being chased by a female ghost, simply because he can foresee the correct escape route. But in the mysterious realm, he can't outrun the female ghost at all. To escape, one must become the legendary spirit master. At this moment, Hugh is holding the ghost woman's thighs, embracing her from both sides. As long as he keeps absorbing ghostly aura from the ghost, he can illuminate his spirituality. He will be able to step into the realm of a spirit master. And the special ability of Hugh becoming a spirit master is actually his attack. It can make the attack feel pain. To others, this is a trash ability. But for Hugh, it is like a divine skill. This way, he can make all the ghosts in the world feel his pain. He fantasized that after escaping, he could seek revenge on his wife. A long-lost smile appeared on his lips. Just as Hugh was immersed in his joy, his good brother Dennis suddenly interrupted him. Hugh, there's only 2.5 minutes left. Let's run quickly. Hugh suppressed his inner ecstasy and regained his composure. Turning to Dennis, he said, "You step back a bit. I'll test how powerful spirituality is." Dennis was overjoyed. He gave a thumbs up and quickly stepped back. "So, Hugh, you really became a spirit master. That's fantastic. Hugh came to the female ghost's side. He concentrated all the spiritual energy in his hand. He watched the female ghost doctor who was eating. Let you be the first ghost to feel my pain. This punch contains the pain I endured from dying 21 times. Who else can withstand this level? Moreover, as the number of deaths increases in the future, all the pain will accumulate. This means that it is an ability that can be infinitely enhanced. Hugh hit the female ghost doctor. The female ghost who was eating had no reaction. Took a solid punch from Hugh. The female ghost doctor immediately fell to the ground. Holding her head with both hands, she let out a painful wail. The scalpel also slipped from her grasp and fell to the ground. He originally thought he could kill the female ghost with one punch. However, Hugh found that the punch did not have the effect he expected. The female ghost was in pain, but it was far less than his own pain. Moreover, when he just hit the female ghost, the spiritual energy suddenly dissipated, making it impossible to cause any damage to its head. He couldn't break the female ghost's defense, which caused the conduction of spirituality ability to be obstructed. The female ghost doctor, still in the process of recovery, continued to eat intently. After Hugh threw this punch, he clearly felt that his spirituality was already exhausted. Illuminating only 1% of the spirituality ability was completely insufficient. If you want to get rid of the female ghost, relying solely on the power of your fists is ultimately limited. It seems that you must resort to weapons. But can ordinary weapons conduct spirituality? At this moment, Dennis interrupted Hugh's thoughts. Let me touch your thigh a little longer when you're done. I haven't lit up spirituality yet. Hugh did not pay attention to him. Speaking of weapons that can break through defenses, he suddenly recalled the scalpel dropped on the ground by the female ghost doctor just now. Hugh picked it up without hesitation. The touch was very cold, like a piece of polar black iron ice, filled with violent negative emotions. Hugh was secretly delighted. This scalpel is perfect for me. It's as if it was custom made for me. This is a psychiatric hospital that turns humans into ghosts. All the patients inside have been transformed into various ghostly creatures. And the mastermind behind all this is the gentle and beautiful female doctor. But during the years of transformation experiments, she was also infected by the evil power and became a ghost, thus losing her humanity and turning into a killing monster. At this moment, the female doctor is consuming a human. Hugh, who has become the spirit master, suddenly charges towards her. He, however, is unable to cause any harm to her. Hugh looks at the scalpel dropped by the female doctor. Just now, she used this knife to slice through people as easily as cutting tofu. It can surely break through her defenses as well. Hugh picked up the scalpel. At the moment of touching the knife, a surge of volatile negative energy swept over. It contained countless acts of killing, hatred, resentment, and other negative emotions, continually surging into Hugh's spirituality, as if to infect him and turn him into a monster. But Hugh's spirituality, after experiencing dozens of deaths, was already filled with endless pain and darkness. Therefore, this negative energy did not overwhelm him. Instead, it gave him a sense of familiarity. Suddenly, countless fragmented memories flooded Hugh's mind. One humanoid grotesque monster was tied to the operating table. A wildly savage scalpel continuously cut into them. At that moment, Hugh understood. The female ghost doctor relied on this scalpel. Transform normal humans into ghosts. In other words, the real ghost is actually the scalpel. But the female ghost doctor was only turned into a ghost under the influence of the scalpel. Hugh was secretly pleased. With this scalpel, he could truly kill the female doctor. He immediately swung the scalpel harshly towards the female doctor's neck. A flash of silver light passed. A crisp metallic collision sound was heard. The female doctor's neck was like steel, completely unscathed. Hugh looked stunned. The scalpel could clearly cut through countless ghosts. Yet it couldn't break through the female ghost doctor's defense to cause harm. Suddenly, an idea flashed through Hugh's mind. Could it be because of spirituality? The scalpel needs to be driven by spirituality. And now my spirituality is exhausted, which is why it cannot exert its true power. Hugh was helpless. It was impossible to kill the ghost in a short time. He could only leave for now. He pulled up his good brother Dennis and turned around to run. Otherwise, they would not be able to escape. 2.5 minutes later. After finishing eating, Roger's female doctor looked flustered, murmuring continuously, "Where is my knife?" And Hugh and his group arrived at a deserted hall. Activating spirituality made his vision exceptionally keen, even granting him the ability to see through objects. At this moment, he noticed a colleague hiding behind the stone pillar. Although they had fled early, they did not know the way forward. They could only stay in place and wait for Hugh. Seeing that Hugh had caught up, they went forward to seek refuge. They hoped Hugh could lead them out. It turned out that there were 4 doors around the hall. They all looked very eerie and mysterious. Hugh's approach was simple and crude. Try each door one by one. He would eventually find a way out. Dennis and the others were momentarily stunned. In this race against time within the mysterious realm. But Hugh paid no attention and walked straight towards the door on the west side. Dennis took Hugh as his backbone. Without any hesitation, he followed. The remaining 2 had no choice. Not knowing the way to safety, they could only helplessly follow Hugh. At that moment, a strange sound echoed behind them. Something seemed to be scurrying across the ceiling. It was the female ghost doctor who swiftly caught up. The crowd was instantly terrified. Prince and Roger's stamina should be able to last another 2.5 minutes. How did she catch up so quickly? However, Hugh keenly discovered that it was highly likely because they had stolen the female ghost doctor's scalpel, disrupting her feeding speed and killing pattern. He quickly arrived at the western gate. Without a moment's hesitation, he pushed the gate open. Every second counted now. It was a race against time. He had to speed up and escape. Inside the gate was a staircase leading to the upper floors. Everyone was frantically running upwards, but Hugh was the fastest. Having activated spirituality, his nerve reactions were sharp. His control over his body greatly increased. He burst out with astonishing power and sprinted forward. At that moment, the female doctor burst through the door and rushed in. Its speed far surpasses that of humans, easily catching up with the group. Its jagged mouth roars hoarsely, "Return my knife! Return it to me!" At this moment, it is hanging upside down from the ceiling, not directly preying on the person running at the back, but rather observing the surroundings as if searching for prey. Then the female doctor swiftly leaps forward, completely ignoring the people running behind and rushing directly toward Hugh. The group immediately halts their escape upwards, paralyzed by the fearsome presence of the female doctor. Only his good brother Dennis shouted at Hugh, "The female ghost is coming up! Run quickly!" But Hugh's speed was no match for the female doctor. In an instant, he was caught up by her. The female ghost twisted her body and quickly rushed forward. The unresponsive Hugh was directly tackled to the ground. "It's over. There's no escape." The female doctor opened her serrated bloody mouth wide and suddenly bit down on Hugh's neck. She even gave him a warm hug. Hugh died. Sheeman failed to escape. In the next second, Hugh was reborn and went through the previous experience again. After becoming a spirit master, he gained the ability to make his enemies feel pain. Additionally, he had a knife that could cut through countless eerie things. The 2 were simply a perfect match. The scalpel could break defenses, and then the pain ability could be used to kill. It was too perfect. This way he could kill all the ghosts in the future. Then he can go home to find his wife and take revenge. "Wife, you must wait for me to come back and repay you properly."